here again with another Breaking Bad Season 4 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you are caught up to the point where I am and rewatching or watching Breaking Bad, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description if that happens to be the case. And you find out that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And for all of you out there that are wondering, this is actually at least my 8th time watching Breaking Bad. It might even be my 10th time watching this show. So join me on the journey and let's discuss the show in the comment section, along with the man, the myth, the legend, the Dexter fan, the Lucifer fanatic, and Breaking Bad fan himself, Crazy Coffee Man. With all that in mind, this will be Breaking Bad Season 4, Episode 2. The title of this episode is called Hermanos. And this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. We start off with a flashback of when Hank was in the hospital after the events that happened after the episode 1 minute. And we hear, we see Walt and Gus have that conversation. And then we hear Gomez said, "Burn in hell, you piece of shit." And then we go to present time with Hector Salamanca watching the news, finding out about Marco and Liano Salamanca, dying. Gus sits in front of him and talks to him. He tells Hector that Juan Bolsa was shot dead, and Hector is not very happy. Walt is at the hospital for another checkup. He's in for a CT scan. A man walks up to Walt, or a man talks to Walt, as he takes a call while the man is talking, so he stops for a moment. And Walt tells him to live on his own terms. Every life has a death sentence. He knows he'll hear some bad news, but he's in charge. So at some point he knows he's going to get the bad news, but for now, he's in charge of his life. Gus gets a call at Porros Hermanos from a detective. We don't exactly know who specifically called him. My guess would probably be Hank. Maybe it was Merkert, but who knows. And then Gus goes into the station. Gus meets with Hank Schrader, Tim Roberts, Steve Gomez, and Asak Merkert. But, yeah. And then Roberts tells Gus his fingerprints were found at the crime scene of Gail Bedeker's apartment. And then Gus says, Gail Bedeker. And then he says that 15 years ago he established a chemistry scholarship. Gail won that at one point. He said he hadn't seen Gail for a long time until a few weeks ago. He says Gail was more interested in taking shortcuts. Gus is asked where he was the night of Gail's murder, and then he looks in his planner book and says he was at a hospital for a fundraiser, and obviously they're going to check to see if that alibi checks out. And then Hank asks if Gustavo Fring is his real name, and Hank says that there's no record of him being in Chile, and Gus says, well, it doesn't surprise me, they were really bad at keeping records, but if you look hard enough, you'll be able to find something. And Hank wonders why we're hearing the story now. He never made a phone call to the DEA. And, the fact that he's always, a partner of the DEA, but now he hasn't made a call about this person that was murdered just to give them some information. Everybody aside from Hank actually believes Gus's story. Saul Goodman goes to visit Andrea and Brock. Andrea and Brock have moved into a better neighborhood. Skyler is hiding money in vacuum-sealed clothes bags because she doesn't have anywhere else to put it. Marie's thinking about moving into management due to what Skyler's doing at the car wash. Junior asks Walt about his scan, and Walt says he's still in remission. Marie mentions meeting with the DEA. It was all very hush-hush. Hank asks Walt to take him to a gem and mineral show at the fairgrounds, and Walt says, yeah, sure. And then we have them taking Hank to the fairgrounds. Walt's going on and on about minerals or something like that, gems, and Hank tells Walt, there is no rock show. He just said that so Marie wouldn't freak out. Hank directs Walt to Porros Hermanos. Ready for your mind to be blown? He tells Walt that he suspects Gustavo Fring is a drug mover. Hank tells Walt that Gus's fingerprints were at Gail's crime scene. He says while officially Fring's not a suspect, but deep down he believes that Fring is his guy. Hank wants Walt to put a GPS tracker on Frank's car. Walt tells him that he doesn't feel comfortable doing it. Hank says, just do it. And Walt goes into Por los Hermanos. Gus asks him at the counter, may I help you? Sir, may I help you? And Walt says he didn't do it, and he shows him the GPS tracker. And Gus says, do it. May I help you with your order? And when Walt then goes outside and, bends down to tie his shoe and then puts the tracker on Gus's car. Walt goes to the lab and talks to the camera. I swear to God, I thought I was driving a man to a gem and mineral show. Then he was asked to put into his restaurant. I mistyped something here. I guess I need to pause and try to slower, take notes. But then he was asked to, I think I meant to say pull into the restaurant, Gus's restaurant. And then Hank says no evidence. He says that Hank has no evidence. He's merely working on his own, being. He says he has a mutual interest in resolving this without violence, and I'll make sure he will discover nothing. Walt goes to talk to Jesse. So where do we stand? The thing that you were supposed to do. My DEA agent brother-in-law is on to Gus. Walt wants Jesse to take care of Gus ASAP. Gus says Hank catching Gus equals catching us. Jesse doesn't seem to be worried about the situation. When Jesse goes to piss, Walt hears Jesse's phone going off, and then he looks at a message on his phone, something about meeting with the boss or something like that. And then we have Mike calling Gus and says he did some digging around. Neither the DEA or the APD consider Gus a person of interest. Hank's acting alone with his only resources being his credit cards and his chauffeur, Walter. Mike says the cartel is the bigger problem. Gus goes to see Hector Salamanca again, says Hank's a concern as he's looking into Gus's past. We see a flashback from a long time ago, probably at least 5 years before the events of Breaking Bad, maybe even 10, 20 years, I don't know. It's a flashback, Gus and Max. And Max may or may not be Gus's boyfriend. There's rumors that Gus is gay. I'm not sure if that's the case or not, but it would lead me to believe that he probably is, just because he doesn't have anybody else, or he's so busy with everything and he wants to be, maintain a low profile other than being this restaurant owner that he is. But who knows? But they meet with Hector Salamanca, Juan Bolsa, and eventually Don Eladio. Again, this is a long time ago, so Hector is not in a wheelchair at the moment. And Hector Salamanca actually pees into the pool before the meeting starts. And Max is apparently a really good chef, and Gus is the businessman. Don Eladio wants people to come to his restaurant for more than just chicken. They need to come back with drugs as well. And then Max tells Don Eladio that he can make better than biker crank. Max says that the meth is more addictive than cocaine. Don Eladio doesn't think Gus, as a businessman, will respect him. Max mentions to Don Eladio that Gus is the most honorable man he knows. There's more to it than this. Find it in your heart to forgive him. This is one small mistake. I don't know if it's necessarily a mistake, but they think that Don Eladio, and that's probably the case. And then all of a sudden, while Max is talking and you zoom in on Gus, Hector Salamanca shoots Max in the head, and then he falls to the ground. So this character that may or may not have been Gus's lover is now dead. And then Gus tries to go after Hector Salamanca, but Juan Bolsa prevents him from doing so. Hector wants Gus to look at Max lying there dead. Don Eladio says, you're not in Chile anymore, where Gus is from. And then we go back to present time. Gus tells Hector to look at me. He basically wants Hector to die on his own, he doesn't want to kill him. And then Gus taps Hector on the shoulder and says, maybe next time you'll be dead. I think that's what he meant. And that's what ends the episode. So I actually enjoyed this episode of Breaking Bad. I think it's very suspenseful to a degree, without crazy moments, but really solid moments. I'm going to give the episode a 9.0 out of 10. The character of the episode is going to be Gus Fring, obviously. And then the females didn't really have a big role in this episode. You got to catch up with Andrea for like 2 minutes. You got a couple scenes with Marie, and you got a couple scenes with Skylar. Actually, I think one scene with Marie and a couple scenes with Skylar, with her putting the money in the clothes bags and then vacuum sealing them, and then the part at the dinner table. So I'll give Skylar the female character of the episode, although you really shouldn't have a female character in this particular episode, in my opinion. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, or El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please don't forget to Hulk smash the like button. It does help out quite a bit. Share the video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Breaking Bad. What would you rate the episode? And whom, if you had to choose, would be your male? And if you want to give a female character the episode as well, remember that Crazy Coffee Man will be in the comment section as well, interacting with all of you that are going to comment on this particular video. And then last but certainly not least, well, actually, what I'll do is I'll put my series finale of Better Call Saul review right here. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You are watching the video anyway. Join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.